Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Sweden and we've got a bit of a special review today. This is review number 2200. So as I always do with these kind of mini milestone reviews, I just want to give a huge shout out to all of those of you who've supported the channel over the last, what is it now, nearly nearly 7 years. Getting very close to 7 years. So yeah, it's been great to do this channel over the last couple of years. I've really enjoyed it just because, you know, I've got to make a lot of really good friends in the beer tubing community. I've met a lot of really nice people who've been my followers as well. So, you know, I'm in this for the community. I enjoy doing it for, you know, just to taste different beers and stuff like this. So yeah, it's been an awesome journey and you guys have been a huge part of that. So from the bottom of my heart, a huge thank you to all of you who've made the journey great over the last good couple of years. So for this review today, we are going to stick to Sweden, like I said, and we are going to have a beer from one of my local breweries, and a brewery that are very highly rated. For this review then, we are going to go down to Malmö and we're having a look at another beer from Untappd Brewing. So these guys of course are very well known for their Imperial Stouts, and I've reviewed a couple of those for you over the last few years. I also had a very nice double New England IPA from them in recent times, but this time we are going to go for a slightly different style. So this one is called Finally, and it's a barley wine coming in at 13% ABV. It's an American style barley wine, this one. So very curious to see how this one turns out. This is yet another beer that I picked up from Glassbanken.sa, and the main reason that I got this was, like I said, I think this is the only barley wine I've ever seen from Untappd Brewing, and I know that these guys are a very good brewery. So I was just really curious about this, and I thought this would make a really nice review for number 2200. So yeah, curious to see how this one turns out. Nice to return to Untappd Brewing again after about 5 months or so. The last beer that I reviewed from these guys was was the Xmas. I think it was their Christmas stout that they released through Systembolaget here in Sweden, and that was very good as well. So yeah, hopefully this turns out to be another good beer, and I hope that you guys enjoy my take on it as well. So let's see how we get on with this one then. So as always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Untappd Brewing before. No doubt you will see some more at some point in the near future. There's all the usual social media down there as well. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Untappd Brewing then, on to my brewery notes. So Untappd Brewing, as I've told you before, are a gypsy brewery based in Malmö, and the company was founded by Hannes Gruber and Karin Karlsson back in 2015, and this was when they had their premiere at the Malmö Öl and Whiskey Festival. So both were big beer enthusiasts and they wanted to get into the industry. Hannes comes from a background in software development and he takes care of the brewing side of things, while Karin was an entrepreneur and a trader in the IT industry, and she was the one that was managing the business side of the brewery, although she is no longer part of the company. So they started out with a very modest production, but they've now become the most highly rated brewery in Sweden according to Untappd. At least they were the last time I did a review. It may well have kind of switched around a little bit, but these guys are very highly rated. Most of their beers are brewed at Lilla Ölfabriken and South Plains Brewing, both in Malmö, and more recently they've also been brewing a few beers at Chad Beer as well, from what I understand, so they kind of move their production around a little bit. They've also been experimenting a little bit more with IPAs and things in recent times as well, but mainly they still focus on Imperial Stouts. They've got a very good base recipe for Imperial Stouts, and they do things like adding different adjuncts to it, you know, aging them in different barrels, and adding different spices and all of this kind of thing to them. I'd love to see what Untappd Brewing would do with a coffee stout actually. I don't think I've had a coffee stout from these guys yet, if I remember correctly, but that's something that I definitely need to check out. But other than some beer festivals in Sweden, it's usually quite difficult to get a hold of the Untappd Brewing beers, but in 2018 they started doing a couple of releases through Systembolaget. The main reason that you can't get these beers very easily in Sweden is that you know, the paperwork and the bureaucracy that comes with getting your beers into Systembolaget. So if you want to get a hold of some of the Nerd Brewing beers, the only real way to do it regularly is through Glassbanken.se, which of course is where I got this beer. So as of May 2020, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced around 70 different types of beer, the overwhelming majority of which are imperial stouts. So yeah, that's all I can really tell you about Nerd Brewing for the moment. This is review number 5 or so that I've done from this brewery. I've done, you know, I think it's been 3 imperial stouts that I've done so far, and then the one IPA that I reviewed maybe about a year and a half ago, something like that. And the IPA was really good. I'd love to see more IPAs from Nerd Brewing, but I guess the main thing is actually being able to get, you know, these guys are a gypsy brewery, and I guess the main thing for them is getting, you know, the hops on a contract and stuff like this, because you need a hell of a lot of hops actually, and hop contracts are a very, you know, it's a very real thorn in the side of a good number of breweries actually. So yeah, that is something that could be a little bit difficult for a brewery really trying to move in to that side of brewing. But yeah, their IPF, they do produce that. Again, I forget the name of that. Was it called Open Source? I forget actually what the name of the IPA was that they had, but it was a lovely, lovely beer that, and the stouts that I've had from these guys have also been very, very good as well. So yeah, nice to return to these guys. Like I said, that's all I can really tell you about Nerd Brewing. If you want to learn more, of course, you can check out the brewery website, but it's probably better if you follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on there. You know, Hannes is a lot more active on there. He's a very nice guy actually, and I've had quite long conversations with him about the different beers that he's done. So yeah, don't hesitate to get in touch with him. He's, as I say, very, very nice guy, and always happy to talk about beers and things like that. So yeah, definitely do that. But like I say, as of May 2020, these guys have produced around 70 different kinds of beer. So they are fairly prolific for the size of brewery that they are, and you can learn more about those on the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages. So yeah, let's get on and actually have a taste of this beer then. So as you can see with this one, the artwork is very similar to what you would expect from the other Nerd Brewing beers, just a different colour, and that, you know, this is the same. It's the same style of text and things like that. For quite a wee while, it was difficult to get a hold of. You know, to actually figure out what some of the names of these Nerd Brewing beers were, because they had a series of imperial stouts that were named, you know, the different things. But for me, being a beer geek, beer reviewer sort of thing, that is a little bit more. You know, you are a little bit more pernickety about the names and checking the beers in and all this kind of thing. But yeah, as you can see on the front, it tells you a little bit about the original gravity, the final gravity, the EBC, the colour, and also the IBUs as well. So this one is in 80 IBUs. It doesn't tell you what type of hops and things like that this one has, and that wasn't listed on Untappd either actually. So yeah, kind of an interesting point to make about this beer actually. It's, as I say, it's 13%, so it is a bit of a beast, but yeah, you know, it's very it's supposed to be really good actually. This one's got a rating of like 4. I just checked it there. It's got a rating of 4.04 on Untappd, so this one I think will be very, very good. So yeah, let's get this guy out then, and we'll get on with the tasting. Then I'm really curious to see what this beer has in store for us, and I think this is a very, very good beer to have for review number 2200. Like I said, I got this one from Glassbanken.se. I think I paid 90 kroners for this. So yeah, let's get it out and into the glass then. Look at that. Look at the oiliness of that barley wine. So yeah, as we've spoken about before on the channel, the barley wine is essentially the big brother of the Double IPA. So yeah, usually they're done with very, very long boils. The boils for these beers can be like, you know, 5 and 6 hours. So yeah, very, very long boil beers, these ones. And you know, you can tell with this one, this is a very long boil barley wine. Look at the colour of that. That is, oof, that is like one of the darkest kind of chestnut, mahogany. Even it's not actually far off imperial stout territory. That the colour of this beer is absolutely crazy. I don't know if I've ever come across a barley wine that is that dark before. To you guys on the camera, I'm just checking the camera control. You can see, if I put it next to my black t-shirt, you can see it's not far off being pretty damn black. So it's very, very dark, this one. So I think it's fair to describe this one as an almost ebony colour. It's almost you know, it's very, very dark, this one. You can see there's about a quarter finger of a frothy, I would say kind of mocha cappuccino almost type colour head on this one, so it looks very nice. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, quite a few little ones going up towards the bottom of that head there, but you know, overall it does look pretty damn nice actually. I love you know, the appearance of this one. Really is very nice. If I shine the light through this, it does have a little bit of a kind of mahogany, ruby coloured edge to it, but you know, if you're just holding the beer in the glass normally, it does look very, very dark actually. It's definitely like a sort of ebony, rosewoody type colour actually. So yeah, nothing overly surprising about this, the appearance of this beer when you consider what style it is, but I will say that it is one of the darkest barley wines that I can remember having come across. But when it's 13%, you know, to get that level of alcohol out of it, which is not uncommon for a barley wine, but to get that level of alcohol out of it, you do have to have, you know, a very long boil, and you've also got to have a hell of a lot of malt in it. I wouldn't be surprised if this beer is maybe like double mashed or something like that. We'll be able to tell from the thickness, because of course if you put in a little bit of brewing sugar to bring up the alcohol, then you can tell usually in the mouthfeel if they've done that, but quite often they'll do double mashes and things like that, and then concentrate the sugars together. So yeah, this one I think will be really interesting. Let's take a little look at the aroma then and just see how we get on with this beer. Oh yeah, this smells nice. So like I said, this one's it's listed as an American barley wine, but there are, just going by the aroma, it seems to have a bit of a mix of English and American character. You can definitely smell a nice little bit of breadiness to this one, which would indicate, you know, a bit of a bready graininess, like a toasty bread crusty sort of thing. To me that would indicate more of an English barley wine. I've always found that the English ones are a little bit more roasty and grainy and things like that, and the fruits tend to be a little bit more sort of phenolic and medicinal, whereas the American ones tend to be like really, really oily and caramelly and brown sugary, and the fruits are just a little bit, you know, more, they've still got the oiliness, but they are just a little bit kind of juicier, if you like. So yeah, that's a really interesting thing to point out about this beer. It really does have a good bit of an English character to it in the aroma, and it doesn't tell you anything about what type of barley wine it's supposed to be on the bottle either. But yeah, to me, it's got a bit of a roasty, bread crusty kind of thing. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a wee touch of you know, kind of carafa malts or something in this. There is just something in this that makes me wonder if there's a wee touch of carafa in the malt base here, and that would explain as well, partially at least, the darkness of the colour. The other way to get the colour, of course, is to, you know, give it a really hell of a long boil. So yeah, the aroma that comes out of this one, I think, is really pretty nice. I like how this goes together. In terms of the in terms of the rest of the malts then, like I say, there's a good bit of brown sugar in this one. The brown sugar's come across, it's really like treacly and molasses. There is a degree of you know, there is a degree of sweetness to this one, but there is almost a bit of a, as I say, I think there's carafa malt in this. There's just something really distinctive about this. Weiermann in Bamberg in Germany, they've got this brand of malt, or this type of malt that's called carafa, and it gives you this really distinctive, well-fired, bread crusty type of thing with a bit of brown bread. So you do get an almost kind of German rye bready type nose on this one as well, but you can smell the brown sugars in this. There is like some caramelly sweetness in there. You've got a really toasty kind of brown sugary quality as well, which is nice, and you've got that very dark, highly caramelized treacle sort of thing to this one too. So the brown sugars in this are coming out really nicely. There is almost a wee bit of a kind of dusty chocolatey sort of thing as well, which I didn't expect. Normally you don't expect a barley wine to be chocolatey. I've always felt that the barley wine should lean more towards the kind of brown sugars. But yeah, the aroma that comes out of this is crazy. It's obviously leaning a lot towards the malty side of things, but I think it comes across really, really nicely. In terms of the some of the undertones, you do get a little bit of woodiness out of this one. There's a few kind of nutty things in there as well, but I think this is mainly a kind of bready, sort of grainy type barley wine, this one. I like how this goes together. In terms of the hoppy side of things then, you've got a little bit of earthiness to this one, definitely. You can pick out a little touch of floral character and a little bit of grassiness, but you know, this beer, with it being a barley wine, and this is the 2019 vintage, so I think this one, I don't know exactly when it was brewed. Does it have a bottled date on it? Does it say that? No, actually, but you can see there is a bit of sediment to this one in the bottom of it, so I'm guessing it has been sitting for a little while, and it says best before December 2024, so I'm guessing maybe this one was brewed in December of 2019, because usually they would give it, you know, 5 years seems like a kind of a logical kind of a bottle, you know, bottle thing. So we are drinking this one about when it's just about 6 months old, which is a good length of time to age a barley wine, because then you start to get all these nice fruity flavours out of it. But yeah, that the hops, most of the hops will have kind of dropped out of this, but sometimes you can get some really nice fruity notes out of it, and you do get that out of this one, I have to say. So on the fruity side of things, you can pick up some nice, there are some kind of these, there's a little bit of a kind of dark, almost plummy note to this one. I don't know if it's almost a little bit cherry-like, but you do have a little bit of a figgy quality as well, some black currants and blackberries and things in there as well. But yeah, when you take the aroma in quite deeply, it's got those darker, like plummy, cherry type fruits to it. I think it is more plums and raisins, to be honest, not really cherries, talking rubbish there. But yeah, you've got a nice juicy kind of figgy quality to this one. You've also got some nice blackcurranty and blackberry aromas coming out of this as well. So I have to say the aroma of this one I think is quite interesting. It's quite different compared to other barley wines that I've had, but I think this one will turn out pretty nicely. So let's have a taste of it then and just see how we get on. This one is the Finally 2019 edition barley wine at 13% ABV from Untappd Brewing, a gypsy brewery based in Malmö here in Skåne in the south of Sweden. I'm not sure if the name is just a reference to the fact, oh, finally we did a barley wine, you know, something that he's maybe wanted to do for quite a while. But yeah, this is to review number 2200. A huge thank you to you guys, the supporters, for all your support over the last 7 years. Let's get stuck into this one. Sláinte, skål. Oh yeah, I have to say, that is really quite nice. It's actually, to me, I think I would stick with what I said with the aroma actually. This one strikes me as being, it's almost like a little bit of a hybridy barley wine, this one. It definitely has some of that graininess and roastiness that you would expect of the English version. But it's got some of, it really has some of the sweetness and the fruitiness that you'd expect of the American one as well. So I think this is really nicely done. I'll say straight away, I can see why it had that you know, that 4.04 rating that it had on Untappd. I wanted to check that as well before I had it, because I had something in my head that said it was 4.44, but no, it was 4.04. But yeah, I can see why this beer is well into the fours. This is, pardon me, really nicely done. So big thumbs up to Untappd Brewing on this once again. I'd love to see them try a Scotch ale, but I'm sure I asked Hannes about that before, and he said it's just a style that he doesn't like that much, which is a real shame, because if you can do a barley wine like this, I have to say the malt base that he has in here is not a million miles off what a Scotch ale would be. This one's obviously got a lot more kind of fruitiness and hoppiness to it, but the malt base that's in here isn't a million miles away from a Scotch ale, I have to say. So yeah, that's an interesting point to make about this one. So I'll be interested to hear what Hannes thinks when he sees that comment, because this, you know, the way the brown sugars in this come out, and the way the you know, it's got a little bit of that toasty and graininess, that's what you expect from a Scotch ale. You know, that's what the likes of Tempest and some of the other breweries at home are doing. They're brewing Scotch ales that have got malt bases very similar to this. So it surprises me that he's not into that style so much, if I am remembering correctly right enough. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but yeah. But yeah, this one, I say, it gets a big thumbs up from me. I love trying different beer styles from breweries that I know fairly well. I do wish I could get more of the Untappd beers. There's a few of the stouts that I've wanted to try. There's been I think the next stout I need to try is one of the fudge stouts. They do have a fudge stout that I'd be interested in. And there was also, I think I saw a Vietnamese coffee one as well. They've done a few chili stouts. I'm not the greatest fan of chili stouts, but I do want to try a few of the coffee and the sweeter stouts, but as I say, getting hold of the Untappd Brewing beers is a little bit difficult. But yeah, this one I think is lovely. So let's try and break down the flavour of this one then. So straight away with this beer you can feel a little bit of that roasty toasty malt, just that blankets the middle of your tongue. I do suspect it's Carafa. It doesn't seem harsh enough to be like a black malt, but it's just got that kind of that distinctive roasty toasty bread crusty thing that you would expect of Weirmann's Carafa. There's just something really distinctive about that. If you go further towards the back of the palate, you really get a little bit of the lighter, you do get a little bit more of the kind of grainy, well-fired bread crusty notes out of that. And that, I think, is very, very nice with this beer. So yeah, I like how this one, I do like how this one goes together. It's really very nice with that. I think it's got a good contrast actually, because you've got this roasty kind of toasty base to it. The kind of more well-fired notes come out of the back of the palate, but then as you move further forward you can gradually feel the malt base almost just thickens up a little bit and you get a wee bit of a kind of brown bready note there, but in the very centre of your palate, that's where you get the lovely big kind of brown sugars out of this one. So in the very, very centre of the tongue, it's got a really lovely, very sweet caramel and very oily caramel to it, but as you move further out from that, you can feel it does start to become a little bit darker and a little bit more treacly and molassesy, but in fairness, it might be the kind of roasty elements just pushing their way up through the brown sugary sides of the beer. That could be the thing about this one. So yeah, that's one of the things that I really like about this beer, the way that the brown sugars and the and the kind of roasty Carafa malt base that this one has. I really like the way that they interact together. That really is very, very nice. That's the highlight of the beer for me actually, but you can feel the further you go into the aftertaste with this one, the middle of your palate does start to dry out a little bit actually. So that's an interesting point about this one. I do like how that all of that pieces together. So yeah, the malt base then, yeah, if you go to the front corners of your palate and move in, you will start to get a few kind of woody undertones to it as well. Maybe if you go to the very centre of your palate and come forward further, you know, in the middle third of the tongue it is very sweet, but you can feel it, and then the back, so the back third of your tongue is quite roasty, toasty and grainy. The middle third of your palate is quite sweet and oily, but you can feel some of the toasty grainy notes pushing their way up through it, and then the front third of the tongue is where you get the fruit, but we'll move on to that in a minute. In the back corners of the palate there is a good little bit of earthiness in there. I'd be curious to know what hops they would have used in this one. Maybe it's like Summit from America, or you know, could they have used a little bit the earthiness in this one? It might be the way that the graininess and the and things is kind of mixing together, but I find the earthiness quite dark. Could it be a little bit of Fugels or something like that in here? Maybe one of the English hops, a little bit of Kent Golding or something, because the earthiness is quite distinctive and dark. So that's an interesting point. I'm not sure what bittering hop they might have used in this one, but I think when it's 80 IBUs it's probably an American one because of the high alpha acids. But yeah, as you come further forward along the sides of the aroma there, you can feel that it gets a little bit herbal, but then as you reach the front corners of the palate there's a little touch of a floral character there, but then round the very front curve of the palate it's a bit lighter and grassy, and then behind the front curve of the tongue that's where you get that lovely oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters begin to push their way out of the beer, and I think this has got a really nice fruity character to it as well. So yeah, this is really, really very nice. When you take it in, it's got a whole kind of host of different flavours for me. There's lots of really nice flavours coming out of this one, like I said. So yeah, when you take it in, it's really very kind of sweet and berryish and very jammy. It's like a mix of figs. It's got a little bit of a kind of almost, it's like figs and berries, you know. It's black currants, it's blackberries, you know, some juicy kind of figgy notes in there as well. At the back of the kind of oily bubble with the palate, you do with the fruity side of things, you do have a little bit of that cherry and you do have a little bit of that cherry and sort of yeah, you do have a little bit of that cherry, not cherry, sorry, talking rubbish, bit of that kind of plummy raisiny sort of thing to it. It's not sharp, but it just gives that slightly more oily and very, very juicy flavour that you'd expect of the raisins. Plums, I'm talking rubbish, it's no cherry at all. But then yeah, as you go further forward on the palate, you can feel the sort of figginess, it develops a little bit more. As you go further into the aftertaste, and then almost on the very kind of front tip of the palate, it really gives you a lot of blackcurranty, blackberry sort of things. I do wonder if maybe Williamette is one of the hops that have been used in this, because the berry notes in this are very distinctive, and Williamette also would give you a little bit of the earthiness that we're getting out of this beer. I remember Williamette just having that little bit of earthiness to it, which was quite nice. So yeah, I like how that goes together. I wonder if there might be a little bit of Cascade or something in this as well, because there is just a little bit of the way that the kind of red fruity notes out of this, the kind of figgy quality, it might well have just a little bit of Cascade in it. Cascade can give you some lovely fruity qualities when it's added to a slightly darker malt base. So maybe that's the reason that Carafa was put in here, just because, you know, the Cascadian Darks, the black IPAs, if you put a bit of Cascade in those, you know, the fruity characters you can get out of those can be very, very nice. Simcoe's another one that can behave really interestingly when you put it with a darker malt base. So, you know, it's not out of the realms of possibility that Simcoe could be in this one. As I say, I don't know what hops are in this, I'm guessing at the moment, but I will say the fruity characters in this are lovely. A little bit of a darker kind of raisiny note, like I said. It becomes more figgy later on, and then you've got some really, really lovely juicy, pardon me, sort of juicy blackberry, blackcurranty notes that come out in the aftertaste. But what I will say is this is an awesome, awesome barley wine. I do like that contrast between the roasty, toasty side of things and the brown sugars that are in here. I will say that on reflection, this one is more, it's definitely more like an American barley wine. It's got some of the roasty, toasty notes that you'd expect, but the brown sugars aren't really, like, you know, phenolic enough, and the fruits are definitely not, you know, phenolic enough to be an English barley wine. It's the roasty toastiness is the main English element to it, the graininess. But other than that, this is a pretty, you know, it's pretty that it's, you know, pretty much got its flag planted in the American camp, if you like. So yeah, it's a very, very nice barley wine, this one, and this has been an awesome beer to taste actually. I hope they do more of these over the next little while, and like I say, if they produce a barley wine like this, why not have a go at a Scotch ale? You know, that would be a really interesting thing for them. In terms of the mouthfeel then, definitely a full-bodied beer, there's no doubt about that. Yeah, carbonation's very smooth, big oily mouthfeel on this one. In terms of the bitterness, I'm not sure if I would have got, if it wasn't saying on the bottle, I'm not sure I would have got 80 IBUs out of this, but in fairness you do get, I would maybe guess that it's around 50ish just from the bitterness that you're getting from the malt base and some of the and there's a wee bit of the earthiness as well that will give you that. The earthiness does linger there in fairness. But yeah, the malt base, like I say, it's got a bit of a roasty kind of base to it. You've got some lovely kind of bready characters in there as well, and you've also got you know, you've also got a lovely how do you say, you've got a lovely kind of sweetness there in the middle third of your tongue as well. The fruity juiciness out of this one is lovely. I really like the big oiliness that you get out of the fruits, and yeah, I think this is just another awesome beer from their brewing. You know, I think Hannes is very kind of pernickety and brews a lot of pilot batches and things like this. He reads quite extensively how to brew styles before he has a go at them, so I'm not surprised that this one's turned out as nicely as they have. As I say, it'd be great to see them do more styles very so often. They've made their niche in the Imperial Stouts, of course, so you can understand why he sticks with that, but you know, these guys are great when they try brewing some other styles as well. So hopefully we see Naird Brewing kind of scale it up over the next while. Actually, I'd love to see more and more beers from these guys, but in fairness, there have been a good number of releases over 2020, so maybe exciting times ahead for these guys. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one then. This one was the finally 2019 edition from Naird Brewing, a gypsy brewery based in Malmö, mainly doing Imperial Stouts, but every so often you'll get gems like this one, barley wines, and of course the IPA that I had from them a while back was really good as well. But yeah, as I said, this was review number 2200. A huge thank you to you guys again for all your support over the last couple of years. It's been a great journey, and I've enjoyed it, and I think that a lot of you guys have as well. So yeah, let's leave it at that. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Naird Brewing. We will definitely return to these guys at some point in the near future, hopefully before the end of the year, and hopefully with a different style of beer as well. But yeah, you will see a couple more stouts and things reviewed from these guys over the next while, because this is a brewery that I really like trying things from. So yeah, thank you again for watching. Check out my social media, check out Nerd Brewing, and I will catch you guys very soon. This was review number 2200, the Finally Barley wine at 13% ABV, a beautiful barley wine with some really interesting roasty characters to it, from Nerd Brewing, a gypsy brewery here in Malmö in the south of Sweden, Skåne. Slange, skål, cheers.